And hey, everybody, Barbara Horde here with I Am This Woman. And guest number today, first of all, show number 30, which is super exciting. Woo! And our guest today is Jennifer Nicole Knapp. And Jennifer is here to talk about being single and looking for the one, which I'm really excited about that because I'm single and I'm looking and it's been interesting. And also talk about relationships, what's going on right now, especially within the pandemic, how the relationships, good, bad, or indifferent, what's going on. So, Jennifer, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Oh, you know what? I love having a guest. First of all, when we start to talk about being single, we were just talking about it before, and I kind of laughed because I said that in itself is a journey.
Yeah.
It really is. So let's talk. Okay, what's our first topic? Because we got a lot to talk about, especially with relationships. I love
Right.
it, and you're newly married too,
I am.
correct?
I am.
I,
Yes.
yes.
I
Yeah.
feel like I was like the last wedding of 2020.
I swear, I think it was the last wedding
Yeah.
because I think after that,
Yeah.
then everybody else just kind of, had
Yeah.
canceled. So you managed to get yours in, but you didn't get your honeymoon in, did you?
No, no. And that's still like up in the air because the cruise lines are just not, they're just not making any decisions right now. So it's unfortunate.
Where were you going?
Cozumel, Mexico.
Oh, I
Right.
love that cruise. I went there. It's a great cruise, and you're
Yeah.
kind of like, dang, come
Yeah.
on.
I
I
know.
mean, so how do you deal with this? Because here you are, newly married, in kind of quarantine, all that. So let's talk about that first and
Mhm.
foremost.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're going from married to all of a sudden you're in your house,
Yeah.
and you have a stepdaughter, right?
Yes. She's
So
10.
you just decided to go, boom, let me
All
do
it.
everything.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So let's share, because like let's get down to having a conversation about relationships and all of this. So how did you manage? I mean, being married and just newly married, because how long have you been married for?
Uh, Only since February of this year.
Everywhere. Okay. So we're basically looking
Like
at almost 5 months. Yeah.
four,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Super new.
I love it too because that face is like, yeah, yeah, it was good. The wedding was beautiful. I saw it,
Yeah,
the pictures and
yeah.
everything. It looked amazing. So that is a really good thing. And how are you feeling about everything? I mean, because you were quarantined for months, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, it was hard at first. I mean, I think it was hard for everybody. I think we were all kind of shocked, watching the news, having everything just shut down one by one by one by one. It
right,
was it was pretty traumatic. I think that it was surprising that the entire United States shut down. I don't think it's ever happened in the history of anything. And um and then when the world shut down, that was even scarier
right,
because when the world followed, I think that was when it was really real for everybody because it's typical for some countries to go through a shutdown because of this, that, or the other. It's never happened that the entire planet was shut down, and the feeling of feeling trapped really set in because if you have a hurricane, you can maybe go to another state to escape the hurricane. This is
right,
not that. You couldn't leave. There's nowhere on the planet of Earth, unless maybe you went to like Antarctica,
right,
to
right.
escape this. And that, I think, was a really scary feeling for most people, where
Yeah.
they had no idea what was going on, and then their livelihoods got taken away because they didn't have a job. And it was really one of those things where everybody was just trapped, and
Yes.
it was really scary. I think it was one of the most traumatic experiences I think most people will ever experience, other than some 9/11. I think even that,
Right.
though, people escaped, they went to other states. Okay, we're done, let's go somewhere else.
Let's go and then we deal with that. And this is
Right.
interesting too, because I think one of the things we were talking about before is that you also you're a therapist, right? So
Mhm.
you're helping people
Yeah. Right.
during all of this.
Right. It was really challenging because I had no answers either. They're looking to me like, what do I do? And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what to do. But I had to come up with something to help them through it. And it was just a matter of not uh, panicking and not feeling like you're lost and you don't know where to go and you're going to die intermittently, and it's just like bringing them back down to reality that they're okay, that it's okay. And but the reality was, at the time, I didn't know what was going on.
Sure.
um you
Do we
know
still, we still don't.
we still
I
don't.
feel like everything is opened, and I saw
Mhm.
a thing this morning that says that our cases were up to like 9,000.
Yes, yes,
And
I saw it this morning. It's
I was
crazy.
like, what the heck?
I don't know.
It seems like we're out of the frying pan right into the fire. And
I don't,
it
I don't know. It's really weird how they're spiking, because I'm wondering where they're coming from.
right,
And I don't know if they're backlogged from like a couple weeks ago and now we're just getting them back, because we don't really know. These numbers are not live. They're not
right,
live numbers. These numbers are from 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it could have been anywhere from Memorial Day to the protest to,
sure.
people just going to the bar.
Anything. Right.
We have no idea.
Right. Which
So,
makes it really difficult, because I feel like when we feel like we're losing control, like,
mhm,
being able to get in your car and go to your job and do all
right,
those things. And all of a sudden now you're in the house, and then you're in the house with families for basically months, months.
yeah,
And I make up that with relationships for months, you know? So
right, right.
like like that's one of the things. And I wonder, how much are you getting of that coming in where they're needing support? The fact of it is that good relationships, I can imagine that wherever your relationship is, it has transitioned based
Yeah.
on COVID.
My own relationship.
Well, yours or anyone's relationship. I think I
Yeah.
can't even imagine people being in relationship right now,
Yeah.
how they're
Well,
having to deal with that.
there's multiple layers to this. Like, my relationship in general did shift, because we went from super happy to, holy crap, we're going to be in a crisis. What do we do? But this really tells you the kind of people that you're with. My husband
Hmm.
handled it really well, and he supported me through all the stress of my breakdowns, because I was handling not only mine, but everyone else's. And
Yeah.
so he had to find a way to just carry me on through that. And that supported me a lot. And it got us a lot closer than we probably would have been in a whole year. It just tightened it to 2 months. Um,
Right.
so it's great. But other relationships, if they're new, I mean, that's a challenge, because if they're new and they don't really know each other, that's a challenge.
Right.
If they're long term, and here's the thing: what I've noticed, this pandemic has brought out an enormous amount of marital and relationship issues in one shot than anyone has ever seen. I have, people have noticed, I don't know if I want to be married anymore. I don't want to do this. I got to get out of here. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like it's the trauma that they're just talking through their trauma.
Sure.
But, for the most part, I think people are starting to realize they're not happy. They just didn't want to admit it. And I think this has
I
brought
agree.
it out, you
Yeah.
know,
I
um,
agree with you on that. I think that, I mean, here's the thing about it. It's one thing when you can go to a happy hour with the friends and
mhm.
go to work, but when you're in a house for 24 hours a
Right,
day,
right,
7 days a
right,
week,
right,
that's a lot. If you thought you liked the person or you kind of
right,
like them,
right.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
that it comes out completely that where it's like, no, this is not working out for me at all. And I wonder, like, how are people dealing with it? Because right now, all of a sudden, people are starting to go out, right? And they're
mhm,
starting to get themselves out the door. And now we have this, the numbers are spiking. I know in Palm Beach here, it
mhm.
was, I was going to grab bagels this morning, and on the door it says, mandatory, you must wear a mask. And a guy walks in and they're like, sir, you need a mask on. And so it's just, everything is so
Right,
heightened.
right. Everything is heightened.
Yeah.
Everything is heightened. I
Yeah.
mean, if you want to go into dating, what dating is like now, like just 6 months ago, it obviously is a lot harder. So, you're getting people who have high anxiety, who have been traumatized, who have been, depressed, they're having issues with themselves in their life. And you're on top of that, you're trying to get to know them. I mean, it's almost near impossible sometimes.
Right.
And, I'm feeling like, to date in this pandemic is going to be a challenge. Absolutely. And there's no real easy answer to give you.
Well,
Because
it's been interesting
yeah.
because I am single. I'm in the middle of this and
Hmm.
I'm dating. And it has been the most interesting thing getting to know someone,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
In doing this because there are some people who are like, hey, we should meet, throw caution to the wind, right? Which
Hmm.
I'm like, hell no. And then,
Right.
there's some people like, no, I'll meet you as long as we're 6 feet apart and all that. So it's been really interesting getting to know
Yeah.
someone. And it's almost like that. There was that show, is love, like Love is Blind, that was on Netflix. And so where you're only having that conversation with them, right? And so it's such a different dynamic. I noticed dating, and I noticed that it goes even faster when I meet someone online. I'm pretty clear on, nope, you're gone. Yep, you're gone. And what on to the next one. I think
Right.
that's the thing that's worked for me right now.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, it's you have to kind of delineate who you want and who you don't want, And
Yeah,
I think, but there's a downside to that because we're not present anymore to people. We're just kind of sifting through them, like just swipe right, swipe right, swipe right. I mean,
yeah,
there's no human connection as much anymore. We
yeah.
look at them as a photo, and it's just a photo, and I think that creates a sense of safety for a lot of people, but it
Hmm.
it, it disconnects the emotional. These are people, but we don't see them
Right.
as people anymore. We
Yeah.
just see them as things that we can swipe right or left.
This is what's really interesting, though. The guys who I am meeting are wanting more phone conversations,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
is surprising because a lot of them people are so used to text message and texting this and
Mhm,
texting that,
mhm,
and
mhm.
so all of a sudden they're wanting to have a phone conversation. And I think that has made it a little bit better to right away kind of, once you start talking to someone on the phone, you're having that conversation, it does help. It helps tremendously to be able to do that. But it definitely is a different aspect. So I can't even imagine being in a relationship and all of a sudden you're home, they're home, the kids are home, all of the dynamics, it's almost like a perfect storm coming together. And how do you help people to deal with that? And if they're in a bad situation, or what, even if they thought it was or
Mhm,
wasn't,
mhm.
how are you helping them to support themselves on what's going on?
So a couple things. I'm going to answer the first one about the dynamic of the phone conversations. What's interesting about this is that it's brought upon a whole new situation where people are realizing that they don't either have friends, or they need friends, or they need connection, where before they were avoiding it like the plague. I know a
Right.
lot of people were like, I don't need anybody, everyone sucks and all this stuff. All of a sudden they're like, I need friends. And this is part of what's been coming out, is that people are realizing they need connection, and they are desperate for it. And some people have who did not build that connection tribe are really,
Mm.
they're really suffering a lot. And then I'll get into that a little later, because I think this is part of the dating process of building yourself a tribe. But I'll touch
Mm. Hold
that
on,
on.
before we do that,
Yeah.
I like it. Let's go on this road because this is interesting. Like, I have an amazing tribe. I
Hmm.
know you do also,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And so it really has helped
Yes.
when we're either having 6 feet parties in the
Right.
backyard
Right.
or being on, Zoom or whatever else to have a conversation.
Yeah.
So it has helped to make a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
And so what happens if you're now in the midst of not having your tribe?
So, here's the thing. I've managed to pick one or two friends that I know, at least during the pandemic, that we made a pact that we weren't going to go into public places and just each other's homes, or just, and that's what we're going to do. I have not seen my family since March. Haven't seen them.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, but what I have been doing is I've been Zoom calling people, texting them, phone calling them. We've been making like dates, I guess, like online.
Yeah.
Some people since then have come out, so I've seen them periodically. A lot of times I've been hosting some smaller like gatherings in my house of maybe like 5 people, just to kind of create like a sense of like, you matter kind of thing, like you're not alone. And
Right.
when people can't do that, and if they're not able to provide that, you have to reach out, and you have to start making phone calls. Don't do texting. You have to either do face-to-face, do a FaceTime, do a Zoom. You have to do something where the mind and the body can see the person and it
Right.
identifies as a person on the other line. Even on the phone, it's still disconnected because you can't see them. So the brain has to have that picture so it feels like there's some connection.
That's really interesting that you talk about it, that you see the person. And I think that that is such an interesting topic because of the fact that I think that we are so used to in this digital age, like if you're at dinner, you're like this on your phone, all of that. So, I love the fact of talking about seeing the person
Yeah.
and really connecting with them
Yeah.
and letting them know that you see them.
Yes.
Because I noticed that at the beginning, I had friends who were like, yes, they would call and talk and we would do FaceTime and Zoom or whatever like that. And all of a sudden lately, it's been so quiet,
Yes. Yes.
And so I've noticed that there's a part that's kind of missing for me of where are people? Where are you? Like, have they gotten so comfortable in wherever they're at that it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I do have some people out there. Because I notice if I don't connect, some people won't connect.
Right. And that's true.
Yeah.
I think what it is first of all, during the pandemic, people had this fear of never seeing anyone ever again. So they just started calling everybody. Now that we're kind of back into the world, so to speak,
Yeah.
people are trying to rebuild or trying to figure out, and they're panicking sometimes because they're still trying to scrounge for money because some people still don't have any money. And it's not that, I think what happens is that there's so much going on in the world that they disconnect again from the people that they needed during a bad time. And that's the problem, I think, with a lot of mindsets, in that you have to be consistent regardless if there's a pandemic or if it's a great day outside, because the reality
Yeah.
is you have to keep up with your relationships. You can't have a rainy day relationship where it's like, oh my god, there's going on and I need you now. What? Where have you
I
been for 6
love
months,
that.
man?
Rainy day relationship.
Right.
That's so brilliant because
Yeah.
you're absolutely right.
Yes.
I noticed that some of mine, it feels like that rainy day relationship.
Right.
And so it feels like there's such a disconnect. And I'm
Yeah.
going, like, if I'm not putting the effort out there, then I don't hear from people.
Right. Right.
Yeah. That's
Right.
powerful. Wow. And it
And
makes you look at your relationships then with people.
well, so this is what happens, okay? It's not that they're bad and wrong, it's that they
Right.
don't realize what they're doing. And they don't understand that not reaching out impacts not only themselves but other people. But here's the kicker to all of this. One of the reasons why I was so successful in being single and getting married was because I stayed connected to my people, meaning that I consistently was out with them. I was consistently creating relationship after relationship after relationship, not with men, but with women.
Mm-hmm.
And some men. I had guy friends too, but
Sure.
I stayed connected consistently. And not only that, after I got married, I still stayed connected consistently, because what happens is it builds trust, it builds camaraderie, it builds creation, and it inspires you, it helps you through it. And because I had so much power,
Right.
because of that, the men that came into my life saw the amount of people that I had, and they're like, I want to be a part of this. What
Love
is
it.
going on?
That's
and
amazing. I love that.
and so, but what also allows you, it helps you talk about your dating life, and it helps you, oh my god, this guy and blah 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 and all this stuff, and then you start, with the whole thing, and then you feel better about it, right? You're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
You're not devastated from like another date like being trashed. And some days I was like, oh my god, but then I know I can call whoever and I will say, hey, what's going on? But they also know I just talked to them a few days ago. I'm not
Right.
calling them for a problem they haven't talked to me about in a month.
Right. Right. Right.
Right.
I love that. And it's funny too, because I notice what I do have is I have this one new friend and she is amazing. And we started out as in this group, became accountability buddies. And then next thing you know, we're friends. And so it's nice to be able to have someone because she's very consistent. And
Mm-hmm,
so I'm big on being consistent as a
mm-hmm,
friend. And I agree with you. It's like it's that whole thing. And as I'm in the process of dating, Girl,
But
that's
then
a lot
what people don't realize is that, remember we learned once you do one thing one way, you do it every way.
every way.
So you're not if you're not consistent with your friends, you're not consistent in your relationship. Don't tell me that you're telling me that you have a successful relationship when you can't keep up with everybody else. Not only just your friends, your family, any siblings that you have. When was the
Yeah.
last time you called your mom?
Yeah. What?
If you're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
consistent within yourself and who you are, I promise you, your relationship is going to get hard
Yeah.
because you're not following through on reaching out to people, because everybody matters, including yourself. You need
Right.
these people. I promise you, you need these people.
I think more than ever, I think that I look at a lot of things that are going on with depression, with
Yeah.
suicide, with things that are
Yes.
happening. I think
Mhm.
it's so important right now is that you do. It's like I work with some kids at church and I always tell them, like, take the time to reach out, talk to each
Yeah.
other, see what is going on.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so important to let
Yeah.
people know that they're not alone. You
Right.
know,
Absolutely.
I think it's a huge, huge part of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So let's jump over to relationships.
Okay.
And you're at home, not you, but per se, people are at home.
Mhm.
What happens when you're in that relationship that was already kind of rocky and now you're home
Mhm.
24/7? What is some ways that can help people to kind of navigate through those kind of you know, treacherous waters, I would say.
Well, you're looking at depending on what kind of bad you're looking at. I mean, are you looking at, if we're gonna go to let's go to the extreme first.
Yeah,
Obviously, in a domestic violence situation, please call for help or find a way to get yourself out of there. Okay,
exactly.
because that, I tell you, domestic violence has gone up in incredible numbers, and they can't hide it anymore because it's just so prevalent now.
Mm.
And so, it's one of those things where I always tell women, don't stay, get out and find a way
So
to get
important. It's
um
so important. It
so
really
important.
is.
Hmm.
Because I was watching, I saw an article where the person she had broke up, but she was like in the streets fighting with the guy, and he literally attacked her and they caught it on video. And it was just such an extreme, you
Right.
know? And so my thing is that you get those telltale signs. And I would say this is that when even if you don't know someone, like reach out to someone,
Yes.
ask for help,
Yes.
ask for help you
Absolutely.
know? Yeah,
Absolutely. This is where your tribe comes in. Most of these people don't have friends. I can tell
they're
you,
isolated.
they're isolated and they don't have friends. I have been so grateful for all of my friends who've been helping me through this whole pandemic. I even have one of my friends helping me with Shaylin right now, my 10-year-old stepdaughter, who's taking care of her during this whole thing because there's no camps,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, good point.
So, but
Yes.
but this is because I created that, and that relationship where it's a give and take. So,
Yeah.
um, but going
So
back
important.
to relationships of they're having issues. So let's go with you're arguing a lot. Let's talk about you have kids and you're arguing about how to handle the kids and this and that. The reality is that you're going to have to change up how you parent. You have to change up and how you communicate. Before, you're at work, you're doing this, the kids are at school. There's not a lot of conversation. It's a lot of doing. So now it's like I have to talk to my kids. What do I talk to them about?
Wait a minute. You want me to talk to my husband or
Right.
wife?
What?
Whoa.
What do
What
I
the
do?
heck?
What do I do? We have nothing in common. What's interesting is that you can ignore the person the entire
Yeah.
time you're in the house. Why not? Because people do it all the time. But how wonderful would it be to recreate a relationship with this person? And yeah, there's going to be arguing, but the arguing is because you haven't sat down and created boundaries and created
Mhm.
plan and created structure, because we've been so trained by being busy, we have no idea what to do when we're not busy.
That's powerful. Like we really are. We're so and then if we don't think we're busy, like
Mm-hmm.
I love this because people are like, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. So I was like, what are you really doing? Like take a day in your life and
Right.
really write down what you're doing. And then
Right.
once you start removing some of the social media posts and
Right.
start removing some of the TV stuff, all that. But we go through that cycle of busy, 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 busy,
Yes.
and all of a sudden now you're everything I think is the light has been shined on everything now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, you know, there's a lot of tiers to relationships. You can be in a codependent relationship where, if the other person is not happy, then I'm not happy, and that's really toxic. There's the relationship where they have children, but they have no structure for the children because they've had school, so they don't really need structure. But now the
Right.
kids are running amok, so you have to learn how to build a family. I think we're so busy with social media and work and this and that. We just forgot how to build a family. Most parents don't talk to their children.
Right.
They read them books and they do this, but a lot of parents that I know and that I've treated, they don't talk to their kids. Meaning, you need to talk to your kids about what's going on. You need to
Yeah.
sit down with them and ask them about their day. You need to talk to them about, hey, you need to express emotion.
Yeah.
My stepdaughter is turning 11, I think, in August, and I'll tell you, she's never been talked to about anything in life. And I've been sitting with her all the
Right.
time. This is what happens in life. This is what's going to happen to your body. And she's like, what?
Yeah, that's like the
What's
freeze
going
frame. You're
on?
like, whoa, stop, stop, stop. But this is interesting because Tamara Barber has this amazing teen program, Extreme Teen Leaders. And it is amazing how many kids in there talk about where they have this was the first time that they're able to voice their opinions and their thoughts and what they feel. And some of them feel like, so imagine keeping all of that bottled in. As an adult, I keep all of that bottled in and I think it's too much, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. We learn how to express emotions at a child's age, probably around age 4, not even, probably earlier than that. At least 3 or 4, you start to really develop what it's like to speak your mind. Now, remember, when you start speaking your mind at like age 3 or 4, what are you doing? You're throwing a tantrum because you can't
Right,
really communicate. But what do parents do? No, you can't do that. No, you're punished. No, go to timeout. No, shut up. No, be quiet. And we don't realize that they're trying to tell us something
right,
and punish them for telling us something. And that's the cycle and the vicious cycle that we all have, is that we grow up thinking if we speak out, we're going to be punished.
right.
And that's
Yeah.
the problem with especially women, who we were silenced for so long that we don't even know what to say when a man tells us, I love you, and we don't know if we're good enough for that. How sad
Mm.
is that?
You hit it on the head. It's so interesting. I was talking to this guy and we met online, and then through our conversation, he proceeds to tell me that he's in a relationship, but he's lonely, and it was really we ended up having a whole hour conversation. But it's so interesting how he thought and his dynamics. And he was asking me, "Have you been married before?" And I said, I didn't value myself enough to even realize that I was deserving of a good marriage, of a good partner and a good friend and all that. And so that has been, I think that's why I've been single for so long, because now like I'm ready, but I also see the red flags. And when I see the red flags, I make sure I don't automatically go running for the hills, but I look. And if I see one red flag, I'm like, okay, 2 red flags, 3 red flags. If I see a whole sea of red flags, see you later. I'm
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that's been helpful because in the past I would have just kind of like, that's when you close the eye and look this way and then you think they look okay, you
Right.
know?
Right. Self-love, honestly, is one of the most important things to have while dating. If you don't have self-love, you should not be dating. I'm
Never.
quite honest with you. And here's the biggest mistake that women make. They want to get into a relationship because they want to feel good about themselves. You do that, you will fail. 100%.
Miserably,
And
miserably, and you see it.
but you have to understand that these women stay in relationships that are really toxic because they're afraid to be alone.
Yes.
And men do too, by the way. I mean, it's both men and women. They stay in relationships
Hmm.
because they're afraid of being alone. And I always say, wouldn't you rather be alone than be miserable?
Right.
And some people are like, no.
Yes, some people are because they think that they're going to find it. You complete me and all that stuff. And it's like,
Right, right, right,
please, ladies, be complete before you
right.
go out and get
Yes.
into something.
And they say, well, I don't want to wait forever to get married. I'm already 30 something and I'm going to be single for. Listen, this is what I say to women. I said, go ahead and date, but don't date to find a man. Date to find yourself. Date,
Mm.
and date every time you find someone, you date someone, go inside yourself and say, how come I was the way I was? Question yourself, look at yourself, take a look at who you're attracting and shift it, and then shift it again, and then shift
Right.
it again. And it's not a rejection, it's a learning process in dating.
Yeah.
Dating isn't, I started playing the game of dating, of empowering myself and finding who I was. It wasn't a chore after a while. And I love to feel that sense of knowing who I am every time I meet another man. And it was fun. It was fun after a while. And I got to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm ready. Not only am I ready, it just sort of, I remember I woke up one day and I said, you know what? I'm not afraid anymore. I'm gonna go whole head on to whatever comes next. And then Ryan shows up.
Oh my gosh. Well, because you put it out there, and I love that date to find yourself. I think that's brilliant. It's so brilliant because what the one thing I have on my desk, and it says, thank you, universe, for not bringing me my mate because I'm still working on me.
Right,
And I notice every guy that I'm dating, he has more qualities than the one
right,
before.
right.
So it's so close. He's so close to me that it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, I almost like look around. Where
right,
where are you?
right. But don't date to find a man. Honestly,
Yes,
date to find yourself. And they always show up. Always. It always happens. And then here's the other one. Women think that a guy is just, I mean, it can happen, but oh, well, no, but I don't have anyone to date and I've been single forever. And what have you done? Well, nothing. Well,
right.
what do you expect to do? What do you expect to happen if you don't do anything? You
You
know?
gotta look. Put yourself.
Right.
The one thing I always say is putting myself out there. A lot of
Mhm.
people say, "Well, I don't want to get hurt," but I'm
Right.
like this. You're right. You will never get hurt if you're like this.
Right.
So you might be hurt, but I believe in love. I believe in all that, and I believe also that what it's things happen, but I'm willing to put myself out there. I am willing to do that.
You'll never get hurt if you love yourself.
Yeah.
You'll never get hurt if you understand that it's not really rejection, but a learning process. If that person didn't like you, that's okay. What was it that you didn't like about yourself in that moment that that person saw in you?
Yes. Because
It's
we
not,
show it. We
yeah,
show it.
absolutely. And women, this is a big one. I love how women say to themselves, I can't date until I lose weight. I can't, my brain, like, I, I can't.
They don't even get. What's so funny to me is that especially it's like I promise you that there are men out there, and when you love yourself, that
Yes,
confidence that comes
yes,
across,
yes.
what people every time on my dating profile when they send me a message, they're always like, I love your smile, your pictures are beautiful, blah blah blah, because that's what comes across.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I'm showing up as.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I agree. Don't lose the weight. Don't wait to the job, to this, to that, to this.
Right, right.
It's because you'll never be ready.
No, you'll never be ready. And listen, I'm not saying don't lose weight. If you want to, you're welcome to. Why not? But don't
Right,
do it because you need to do something. Do
right.
it because you're just doing it, but not. It doesn't have anything to do with anything else.
Yeah,
So let's say, for example, women. A lot of women say, oh, "I'm not going to be able to find someone because they always like the skinny women." I said, you know what? That's not true. They like anyone who has confidence. They like anyone who has courage. They like anyone who can shine and who can feel like they can honor a queen. They don't want a woman they have to fix. They don't
right,
want a woman who's perpetually standing on their on the scale and saying, "Oh, I gained 5 pounds. Oh, I look fat today. Oh, I
right.
look terrible today." They can't stand that. They
And
can't.
and I don't blame them. It's
Yeah.
so, it's so disregarded. And what I find out is that when someone sees me or whatever, when we're dating, they're always like, "You're beautiful, you're smart, look at you, you look great," the whole thing.
Mhm.
And so when you make that whole rule about I can't do this until I do this, you'll never step forward in anything that you're doing.
No.
Even with me building I Am This Woman, it's like I decided this is what I wanted to do and I went for it.
Right. Right.
And
Exactly.
and, and I trusted in what I was up to and I trusted in what I was
Right.
creating, you
And
know?
exactly. And that exudes confidence and exudes
Right.
attractiveness. Men don't see the body, they see the person. Everyone thinks that the man sees the body. Of course men see bodies, but at
Sure.
the end of the day, they're looking at something else and they see something else. I think that if you start realizing that you're perfect the way that you are, you're going to have a line out the door. By the way, I'm a very plus size woman. I had a
Right.
line out the door.
I'm
Constantly.
learning that. I'm a plus size woman, and I have to say, I am learning that now
Yeah.
because it's really helping me
Yeah.
to not be, and I remember I was showing a picture to a friend and say, this is the guy I'm talking to, and they're like, oh, where did you find him? Or look at you. And I'm like, no, right, look at me. It's
Mm-hmm.
great. He's a good looking guy, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm attracting him. Like, this is it. So I think,
Mm-hmm.
like, be supportive of your friends also. Like,
Sure.
sometimes we say things that are
Right.
just like, really,
Right.
you know
Right. 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 Women like to tear each other down. I never understood that.
yeah.
I'm lucky that that never happened to me. But that brings up a next point about friends. You know that those people that get involved in relationships and all of a sudden they disappear?
Yep. Where
Yeah,
did he go? It's like,
right,
yeah, as long as everything is working, I'm your friend, and all the time it's like I'm in love, and then you don't see him, right?
right, right. Um, don't do that
Please
because
don't.
you will lose in every aspect of your life. I can't even tell you how toxic that is for you. You have friends, don't disappear. You be with your partner, but don't exile yourself from everyone who got
Right.
you. By the way, you didn't do this by yourself. Don't think to yourself that your ass got into that relationship all by yourself. No, you did not.
No, we never do. And I know we do a lot of things, but I have to tell you, like my group of girls, I would say everything, even with I Am This Woman or anything that I'm doing, I have such a tribe behind me that's always like supporting me. And if I fall, they're like, okay, we'll sit here with you or we'll help you get back up,
Right,
whatever it is. And that
right,
has been helpful. It really has.
right. And I think when I found Ryan, oh, I know I had a friend that said to me, I'm grateful that you just didn't forget about me, that you found him and
Mm,
you didn't leave. I never
wow.
changed my friend life because he came and he came with me.
Right.
but I but I never changed how often I saw everybody. I think I was always present all the time. He just was now in it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, and sometimes I was like, listen, I need girl time, go do something else. I made sure that people knew I was still available to them. And then
Yeah.
when the wedding came, I had so much support in so many different areas that is because I cultivated that kind of relationship. And so people are not really getting that to find a relationship, you have to cultivate the ones prior to you finding this. Because if you don't, you're SOL. It's
Yeah.
not, you're thinking that you can do this by yourself. It ain't going to happen. You can't. You
Yeah.
can't do a relationship by yourself.
Yeah. And I know for me, it's made a huge difference of the people that I do have in my life and anything that I'm doing. It has been so, so incredibly supportive. Okay. I always ask my guests questions because,
Mhm.
I like to get into that brain. So tell me, what is your vision? And it could be vision for whatever. I always like, what is your vision?
My vision is for people to find that they matter and be connected to one another, meaning
Mhm.
that connection is one of the most important things, I think, on any level of mental health.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have connection, you see a lot more suicide rates, depression, anxiety. You see a lot more loneliness, and you know, it's you're not. I think if people began to connect more, and I create connection, that maybe it'll save a life.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll save someone from feeling like they don't matter. And a lot of my friends didn't actually know each other. It wasn't until the wedding happened throughout the year that I started kind of putting everyone together. And all of a sudden they became friends. And they started hanging out and they started doing things, and it was a fun sight to see how much connection I created just by getting people together in my own
Mm,
home. And I create these magical experiences for people. They're like, wow, I haven't had a friend in a long time, or this person's awesome, I'm going to call you after we're done. um,
right.
but I think that that's my vision. I think that people are so disconnected and so disjointed most of the time that they don't um, realize how important a friend is. They don't realize it, you
I
know?
I agree. I totally agree. So, how do you keep a positive mindset?
Well,
Well,
well, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not. I think that I've struggled with it in the last couple of months, but for the most part, I tell myself positive things. I don't. I don't. You don't sit in front of a mirror and say I'm amazing. And so, I mean, I guess I can do that, but
I
but
did walk by the mirror last night, and I looked in the mirror. I'm like, you are so cute.
how do you keep a positive mindset? It really is a lot of tactics. One, you tell yourself positive things. If you don't beat yourself up, that's a big one. Don't beat yourself up about things. I
Please
can't
don't.
tell you, listen, if I do something wrong, I still think I'm the shit. I'm like, you know what? That's fine. I'm still awesome. I don't give a crap. I just don't beat myself up about things. Stop watching the news. Stop watching the news.
Please.
I can't even tell you how much that actually creates so much depression because you're bombarded all day long, every day. Um,
Yes,
watch it once a day. That's it, because it's the same all day, anyways.
it really
Um,
is. It's the
so
same all week. I
right,
literally,
right.
I just can't. I don't watch it. It's too
No, no,
much.
I can't.
Too much. It really
Um,
is.
Also, find something on television that's positive to watch that has nothing to do with anything. When I tell you that you have to watch things that are like non-relatable to anything on the planet, that's the best thing you can do. Watch American Pickers, watch Pawn Stars, watch a cooking show, watch something that you enjoy doing. How about being creative and making your own show? Go on YouTube and start doing a cooking show. Why not?
Or like doing my show.
Right, do your show.
I'm like, yeah, because one day I was like, I think I'm gonna do a show.
Right.
And now here we are. I just booked all of August and getting ready to book September and October.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, hey, why not? Why not?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Right.
I think that that's big. So tell me this, in the next 45 days, what will you create?
Oh my God. Next 45. Um, God, I didn't even think about that. 45 days. What's that turn into in August? In August?
Let's see, we're in June to July, going into
Yeah,
August.
August. You know, um, I want to create a program within my therapy practice that helps people realize their inner selves are as magical as they can possibly be. Meaning that I'm developing it as we speak, actually, because I realize that a lot of trauma programs deal with a lot of trauma, but they don't deal with the inner core self, the inner child. Well, they do deal with the inner child, but the inner child part of playing and
Ugh,
magic and imagination and bringing that place where you used to believe in things,
oh my
and
gosh,
all of a
don't you love
sudden
that?
everything.
Yeah.
Yes, and so I'm creating something that people can go back to, that place of where they used to play and they used to imagine and they used to have fun. Oh my God, have so many people just don't have fun anymore.
When I was talking to this guy last night, and he's like, "Oh, you love Disney?" And I said, "No, I'm like honestly, one of
Yeah,
my things would have to be is, do you love Disney? Because if you can't, we can't even be in
right.
this space." And this is what he said. He goes, "Oh, so someone would have to love it?" I said, "No, someone would have to love me,
Yeah,
and knowing that I love Disney
yeah,
is like, oh, okay,
right,
And
right.
he goes, oh, I get it. Chandel says, hi, ladies. ML6, happy to see you all. So
Yay.
that's yay. And so I think that that's the difference is that I love joy. I love being in a space of creating joy. So to me, I'm the biggest kid in the room, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So yeah, you know,
It's sad to see that women that I've treated over the years have lost that ability. They don't
yeah.
believe in magic anymore. They don't believe in imagination. They don't believe in anything. It's just
Ugh,
real life all day long.
it's
And I'm just
heartbreaking.
like, oh my God, it's so boring.
Right. Yeah, just like let your hair down, get
Yeah.
out and
Yeah.
and I think that and Chandel, I love that she's like she specializes in women of domestic violence, prepping for pregnancy and working with them and facilitation to allow them to release deeply. And then I love this. Glad we are all together supporting empowering women and joyful and orgasmic living. I love orgasmic living.
Yeah, it's good.
Yes, that's
Yay.
awesome. But I love that. And I'm always about that. I'm always about that creating joy. And I work, like I said, with the teens at church. And they asked me tomorrow to do something where I have to put a wig on and have some fun and be a little talk show host, right? Which is right up my alley. But I'm like, yes, of course. And so they see that joy and it allows them to be joyful also,
Right.
you know?
You
So I
know,
think that that's big.
well, I always ask them, when was the last time you danced in your living room? Just
Yeah.
because. When was the last time you decided to just, do a little magic? And why not? What does that look like? I don't know. Wish. Have some creativity.
Right.
Write it down. Imagine yourself in a giant mansion. Who cares? It doesn't
Right.
matter what it is. Just do it. And I think people are so realistic nowadays that they're like, well, I can never have a mansion. I only make like 40,000 a year. Well, I I've I don't think that Bill Gates started off at billions of
Right.
dollars a year. He started off at nothing, and
Right.
I think he started off in his garage. So
And yeah,
right,
and that's
and
the thing
so
about it. So many people are not living and dreaming. And I
no,
know doing I Am This Woman, I started in January 3rd. And I have to say, as it comes up on, this 6 month mark, it has literally transformed how my life is and how I show up
yep,
because I really am. I am so full of joy.
yeah.
It makes a huge
Right.
difference.
And so the treatment that I've been creating is a vast of all the different modalities of trauma, but it's infused with imagination. And so it's
Mm,
basically imagination therapy, I guess, but it's trauma therapy in the sense that you're using your imagination to recreate the life that you want, that you seemed impossible to do, but we're going to do it anyways. And
wow.
so a lot of women go back in time and change things they didn't want to change. They don't want anymore. And they change it to what they want, and they're going to the future to change things that they really want to have, and they're looking at themselves in a different way. But it's starting to ignite a powerful
Yes.
tool that we miss, and it's imagination. People think, oh, imagination is fake. It absolutely is not fake.
I know. I agree.
It
I
is.
imagine, are you kidding? I imagine I have my Pinterest folder that has my I Am This Woman office
Yeah.
pictures in there. I have in my bedroom posters that will go into that office. I imagine all the time the trips and the retreats and the conferences. I'm big on imagination. So I
Huge.
completely agree with you. Yeah.
Right. And this goes into dating. How have you imagined, and I always had women who are listening, have you imagined the guy of your dreams? Have you really looked at him? Have you seen who he is? Have you created this person in your mind, or are you just like blindly dating? You really should not be doing that.
Yeah, I am. I do that, and I always tease my friends. I said the one guy I'm going to be on stage speaking one day, and I'm going to look out to the right behind the curtain, and he's there, and he's like holding my purse, right? And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's my guy, and
Yeah.
it's so I'm so clear on that. I'm so clear that that's him.
So one of the things in imagination is that you can actually feel a hand touching your own hand, and even feel skin to skin as if it's actually real. I mean, if you really get good at it, I mean, things actually become very tangible in your mind. Your subconscious does not know the difference between now and the reality that you're thinking. It thinks it's real all the time.
Oh,
So
goody. I'm going to do my office and my man, and
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
telling you, watch out.
yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm going to be sending you an invitation to my wedding soon enough.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
So my last question. Um, when Kobe Bryant passed in January, I think it really hit us all. But I think for me, what it did is I was so in awe of not of what he's done with his basketball, but what he did after in those last 3 years and the legacy that he created. So my question to you is, what is your legacy? What do you want it to be?
Um, I want people, when I leave this planet, to remember to love each other and love themselves. But I want them to remember that connection is important. So if I died, I want people to reconnect or connect and not forget it. and not forget other people and not forget their family and their friends and their loved ones and their children. I think the biggest issue that we're finding nowadays is that parents are so disconnected they forget their children. And legacy is to have them remember that they still need you and they still need you to talk to them and they still need you to play with them. You know, they're the only ones that can bring back that imagination. And if you don't have kids, you can still do it on your own.
Yeah, very much so.
But my
I love
legacy
that.
is to change the way women see themselves in the end.
Yeah.
I think that women struggle with self-image and self-esteem and self-worth to a degree where it's so devastating to who they are that they don't know what to do with themselves. And I'm hoping that one by one, I reach a woman and say, you know what, if you're okay with the way that you are and you're fine going out dating and do what you got to do, but do it with absolute confidence.
Yes.
And when you go on a date, you're not there to be chosen. You're there doing the choosing.
I like it. Watch out. Watch out, men. I'm a coming. So, and just to let you know, Chandel says, you know, many women sabotage their relationships for fear of losing, you know, everything. And I think that it is such, and I think with men and women, and I think I love the fact that you're doing. So we're wrapping up. So what is the last thing that you want to tell everyone?
Remember to always keep yourself first. No one else comes first except for you. And if you don't do that, no one else is going to get the benefit of you. You come first. And it doesn't mean that you're selfish. You come first in self-care and self-love and making sure that you're okay first. You know, when you go on the airplane, they tell you to put the mask on yourself first and then someone else. You can't put a mask on your child if you're passed out.
Right. It's true. It's so true.
And so you have to learn that you matter first. Stop putting out all of your energy into everyone else, to people like you. That is not going to work. You have to like you first. And then everyone else is just going to automatically like that because they're going to be on that train.
Yeah, I'm telling you, because I'm like me. Hey, I'm like, whoo.
Yeah.
So I always ask my guests to say their name and say, I am this woman, to close us out. So if you could.
I am Jennifer, and I am this woman.
Yes, you are. And guys, if you've watched this show and you're like, wow, I would love to be a guest. This is fun. It looks awesome. Do me a favor and go ahead and send an email. And the ticker's up across the bottom. It says show guests at iamthiswoman.com. We have just booked all of August. So we're looking now for our September, for the rest of the year, basically. So I would love to book the rest of the year. I think that would be awesome. One of the things that we just have done, which I'm super, super excited about, is that we now have a private group, which is I Am This Woman. And we just started it on Sunday. It's such a fun group to be a part of and to connect with. And if you're going through something, it's a safe space for you to share. So please find us on Facebook, I Am This Woman, and join our private group. Would love to have you there. And then just in case, if you're like, Barbara, you're so cool because I really want to be friends with you, then send me an email at barbara@iamthiswoman.com. Guys, I just want to, Jennifer, first of all, thank you. Thank you for coming on. I cannot wait to tell you when I meet him. And I'll be like, guess what? I got him. There he is. But thank you for being on the show and for sharing with us. And you know, good luck on everything that you're doing. I think that it is definitely going to be, you know, I know you're helping a lot of people. And that's really what this is all about. So thank you so much. So guys, again, Barbara Horde, who is the founder and host of I Am This Woman, and I am definitely this woman. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye now.